2013, pupils from Northwood Community Primary School in Knowsley embarked on a film project which would commemorate the centenary of World War I in 2014. The pupils sought to take the viewers on a journey which would explore the many ways in which we remember these significant historical events. Not only did the pupils seek to get their story heard, they also sought to listen to the stories of others, to gain a vast understanding of their subject area. To do this, they visited organisations, individuals and charities who all shared their different stories. In October, pupils visited the Merseyside Maritime Museum in Liverpool to learn about propaganda. Propaganda is used as a communication tool to influence people's attitudes towards a certain side of an argument. It was used by the government in 1914 when World War I broke out, as a way to persuade people to join and support the war. Propaganda is presented in book form, pamphlets, publications, speeches and posters, and is still a common tool that is used today.
So then we encourage children as well to work and help everybody. Right, not just adults. Do we all know what we're doing? Yeah. Right. How about keep it under your hat? That's the last one. Why keep it under your hat? What does that mean?
Because don't gossip about it. Keep water underneath your hat.
All the information, so don't talk to anyone unless you know they are. Keep it under your hat. That's a little bit like loose lips will sink ships. Right, how are we getting on this table? So maybe just do that colour you go to the meeting and then leave the rest. Maybe finish that back off.
In November, pupils visited the Wilfred Owen story in Birkenhead to learn about the life of Wilfred Owen.
Gently its touch awoke him.
Wilfred Owen was born in 1893 in Shropshire. Then, in 1897, his family moved to Merseyside. Wilfred Owen was the First World War poet and soldier in the 5th Battalion of the Manchester Regiment. Made infamous by his brutal accounts of fighting and living at war, his poetry held a stark contrast to the public image that tools such as propaganda posters presented. Like many soldiers who served in the British Army, Wilfred Owen was killed on November the 4th in 1918, but his poetry remains as a reminder of his struggles and emotions during the war. His poems are very well known, but do not lack criticisms, with poets such as William Yeats dismissing him as being too concerned about his own personal story rather than the life of bravery and camaraderie of the soldiers of World War I.
Right, Doris is going to be your narrator for today. Right. So I think it would be really nice if you give Doris and all the ladies a nice big clap before we start.
Next, they visit the Women's Historical Group in Liverpool to find out about life during the war.
I was 22 when the war started, so I can remember a lot of things about the war because I was old enough to realise how very serious it could be.
We had the blackout and all the street lights were off and every household had to have big thick curtains. You get warned if you had, shown a chink of light. And the idea was keep the whole city dark and the German pilots wouldn't be able to find the targets.
Here's our Tommy.
Oh, I
I
know.
thought you were watching him for me.
I know, well...
Don't tell me he ran off.
No, he didn't run off, he was playing. But I've been getting ready to go to the shelter, so I wasn't around. I keep my eye on him.
Look at the state of him.
You know where he's been?
Yeah, collecting shrapnel. Pockets full.
Who's got their front door open? I can see the lights. You want to be bothered?
It took time up of getting to this house where they had to go. Nearly 3/4 of the way, the siren goes, there's going to be a raid. So the boys, we were terrified. What are we going to do? I know, put the table against that wall and we'll get under it. So they're under there, the raid starts. So it goes on, and then they hear on the top of the table. Absolutely terrified. They all clear sounds. When they come out, there was 2 big pieces of shrapnel stuck in that table.
So all over Merseyside, they come waggling down out of the sky. And everywhere there's a firebomb, an incendiary bomb. Everywhere they dropped, a fire started. And the idea was to light up the city, find the targets. So what did old Mum do about these firebombs? Well, I saw him, I cannot see. I have not brought my specs with me. I have not brought my specs with me.
How did you feel when the war started?
I felt excited at first because I was only young. And then I felt sad because I thought we'd all be killed.
How did it feel when you were being evacuated?
Well, I didn't like it at first, but I got used to it.
And who did you stay with in Mould?
Mrs. Goodwin, the name was, I'll never forget it.
Did you write home when you arrived there?
Yes, we wrote home.
And what did you take with you from home?
A doll. I think.
Betty, did you go to a hall and get picked out by Mrs. Goodwin?
Yes, we did. We went to a hall and we were picked out one by one. We just stood in a group, more or less.
And then Mrs. Goodwin came up and said, I'll have you and I'll have you.
Yeah, I'll have you and I'll have you. But she only took one and that was me.
Did any people get split up from the sisters or brothers?
Yes, he did. I got split up from my sister. She was only 6 or 7.
I was under a house that got bombed. It hit a house and it took 8 houses up, and me and my mother was underneath the houses, and the men were outside with the fire watching, and they were stamping on the grids, and they had to clear all the bricks off the grid and then pull us all up. And I stood at the door one day to go out to go to shelter, and there's a house coming towards me from the next side, Mrs. Power and Mrs. Turner, and they could see the house moving towards you. And I looked at her and said, Mother, we can't go out. She said, why? I said, them houses are moving. She said to me, don't be stupid, get out. And I said, I can't, Mother, look at the houses. And when she looked, she said, get back in. And she shut the door. Well, we had to stay there till 2 wardens come down and took us out. Because the house could have fell and could have been on top of us.
We used to get, when we came out from school, of a night time, we all used to play together. No one could go anywhere without anybody else. If you were going out the street, you have to tell so many people in the street where you were going, because it was dark then.
Well, absolutely
we used to
dark.
have the torches, didn't we?
We had to stay in complete darkness. We went to school in the darkness. We came home in the darkness. And when we saw the lights go on, the lights, we've been blinded for 5 solid years. And when the lights went up, wasn't it fantastic?
All black.
Oh, it was lovely. Absolutely.
My eyes are dim, I cannot see. I have